How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 2 of 69. Give a copy to a friend. This ebook is free. If you paid for it, you have been robbed. Impress your friends, colleagues, and customers by giving them a copy. This ebook must not be sold. I've carefully checked this ebook for accuracy. However, I'm human. I may have made mistakes. If you spot any, please let know so that I can fix them in future editions. My lawyer made me say it. The strategies and techniques in this ebook can be used to create a profitable and reward online business. However, what you do with these techniques is up to you. Because I don't know you, don't know your skills, and, most important of all, don't know how persistent you'll be, I can't make any guarantees. J. Stockwell. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 3 of 69. Contents. Chapter 1. How I stopped my friends from pestering me. Chapter 2. The required mindset for online success. Chapter 3. Choosing a niche for your online business. Chapter 4. How to plan your online business. Chapter 5. How to start your online business. Chapter 6. How to get traffic to my website. Chapter 7. How to get my site to make money. Chapter 8. How to grow your website income. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 4 of 69. How I stopped my friends from pestering me. As I get older and my friends start having kids, I've been getting more and more questions about how to make a little money online to help out with a tight household budget. Things aren't as simple as most people think. Thankfully, there are a few fairly easy ways to do it. In this guide, I break down the key components to make it happen. I'm at the age where it seems as though everyone I hang out with day to day is either about to have kids or has just had them. It's an interesting life change. No longer do I instantly assume my bleary-eyed friend has been partying all night. I now just know that his 3-month-old daughter doesn't have the whole sleep through the night thing wired yet. Having kids has changed more than just our social lives. Most of my friends and their partners have worked corporate jobs and have had good-sized disposable incomes. Going down to one income changes things. Things get tighter. For many, a few $100 extra a week makes the difference between having to go back to work or being able to have one partner stay at home to look after the new hatchling full-time. This new life change is at the forefront of many of their minds, and the conversation often turns to this topic. It's at about this point you'll hear me say, "Why don't you think about setting up a little online business?" with a sheepish grin. Almost immediately after this, I wish I'd kept my mouth shut. Chapter 1. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 5 of 69. Most people either fall into one of two camps. The first camp are the ones who don't believe they can make money online because they have no skills. The second camp had bought into the idea that the internet can turn almost anyone into an overnight millionaire. I know we'd all like to believe the sales letters that tell us we can be millionaires online with very little work. Unfortunately, it's just not that easy. I reckon I've met more than 100 people whose online business generates over $500K a year. I had dinner with a guy who was doing $50 million. All of those businesses took an enormous amount of time, money, and skills to get to that level. All of those business owners worked their butts off, many of them risking their health, marriages, and sanity as well. That's where the problem lies. Most people only have maybe 5-10 hours a week of spare time. Very little startup capital. Basic computer skills. Hardly the makings of the next big thing. Suddenly the opportunities don't look so good. Thankfully, there's some good news. While you may not be able to become an overnight millionaire, it's not that hard to make an extra few $100 a week online. For most people, a few $100 a week may be enough to pay for a nice holiday, allow a parent to stay at home to look after the kids, or perhaps start your kids' college fund. Certainly enough to get a bit excited about. When I explain all this to my friends, the stock response is, "So how do I do it?" A fairly simple process. I usually outline a fairly simple process to make this happen that takes into account their lack of time, skills, and money. As I unpack the details, I see the cogs turning in their mind and their eyes start to light up as I explain the perpetual and automated nature of the whole business. Who doesn't get excited by the idea of getting paid while you are asleep? How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 6 of 69. This is the point where I come unstuck and is the source of my reluctance in saying anything. They want to know exactly how we've managed to do it, and how they can do the same. I end up explaining things to them, but it all floats off into the air. What they need is a concrete nitty-gritty blueprint that is going to cater for their lack of skills, time and resources. Unfortunately, I never had one to give them. Not until now. This guide that I basically wrote to give my friends explains step by step how to make $1,000 a month online. Something that will allow me to say, just shoot me an email and I'll send you a step-by-step guide. I'm hoping it's going to save me the time it takes to explain things so we can get back to talking about politics and religion. Smile. It makes the following assumptions. My friends have 5-10 hours a week to work on the business. They have very few, if any, technical skills. $400 to invest. A willingness to work hard, stick to a plan and resist distractions. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 7 of 69. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 8 of 69. The required mindset for online success. Put simply, for most of you, the biggest hurdle you'll have to earning $1,000 a month online is your own mind. This guide provides a blueprint of practical steps to direct you towards success. However, it's one thing to say and quite another thing to do. Most of the time, motivation is not the problem. No, it's the sneaky mental enemies that you have to watch out for. There are two in particular I'm thinking about. The first enemy of the mind is self-doubt. If we have self-doubt, it will erode everything we do. There is a saying I live by that says, you will go where you look. This means simply, if you expect to fail, you probably will. You need to have the right attitude if you want to succeed. I'm very aware that I'm sounding like a Tony Robbins infomercial, but the raw fact of the matter is that your attitude will determine whether or not you succeed. It will dictate how hard you work, how enthusiastic you are, how willing you are to learn, how persistent you are and how committed you are to succeeding. The second enemy of the mind that you must get a handle on is overcoming distractions. Once you start your little online venture and you start looking around the internet for information on this stuff, you'll be presented with thousands of conflicting opinions and promises of easy riches. Trust me on this, you're best to ignore the noise and focus on the tasks I outline. Don't worry, I've seen it all. I've been doing this since 1999 and have been a. Chapter 2. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 9 of 69. Driving force behind millions of dollars of online sales. I've learned over the years what to focus on and what to ignore. This guide filters out what you don't need to know. I would be confident in saying that there's hardly a single online marketing tool or process that I haven't seen. If it's not mentioned in this guide, it's for a good reason. If it's not included, it's either too expensive, too time-consuming, too risky, too short-sighted, or too difficult for someone starting out. The trick is to focus on doing the things I've outlined in a methodical way. Most of it isn't flashy or tricky and much of it is boring. That's okay. It's a tried and tested process that gives you the best opportunity for success. Action steps. If you want to develop and refine the right mindset for success in this task, there are a few practical action steps you need to take before you do anything else. Take this seriously. It's easy to skim over and much harder to make it part of your own mindset. However, it's fundamentally important. Here goes. Read slowly and carefully. Have a positive attitude. Ask yourself, do I believe I can do this? This is perhaps the most important question you need to ask yourself. Most specifically, you need to ask, if I have all the tools and resources at hand, do I believe that I can make $1,000 a month online? Be specific. It's okay to have some apprehension about it, but if you truly believe that you cannot do it, then you won't. Not because it's impossible, or too hard. It's because you don't have the attitude it takes. You need to take a deep breath and purposefully state, I can and will make $1,000 a month or more online. It certainly won't be overnight. It may take 6 months or more to get there, but if you follow this guide, you have everything you need to achieve this goal. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll do it. It's not up to me. You need to guarantee yourself that you will do it. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 10 of 69. Have a willingness to learn. Ask yourself, am I willing to learn new things? There will be points along the way where you'll feel a little out of your depth. That's okay. Just be prepared for the challenge and enjoy it. Some of you will still be looking for the click here and get rich solution. It doesn't exist, I'm afraid. Many of you haven't learned anything new and challenging for years. Get mentally ready for it. Most importantly, don't think you have to become an expert on everything. Just become good at the things I mention in the guide, and that will be all it takes. I know online millionaires who have no idea how to make a web page. It doesn't matter. They've just followed what they know works and stuck at it. Be committed to this. Ask yourself, am I committed to completing all the tasks outlined in this guide? This means that you will need to trust what I say. The simple fact is, if you're not willing to complete most of what I've outlined in this guide, you will have dramatically lower results. Much of the instruction outlined is designed to have a snowballing and exponential effect. Be consistent. Ask yourself, am I willing to plug away at this on a regular and consistent basis? I can tell you now that one of the most common characteristics of people who have succeeded online is consistency. They are the ones who have consistently worked on the same thing over a long period of time. They didn't jump from project to project. They just kept working on the same project with the faith that it would work for them. This is one of the biggest tips I can give you. Write it on your brain like a tattoo. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 11 of 69. Focus and resist distractions. In line with this, ask yourself, am I willing to focus on the tasks in the guide and resist distractions? When you start spending more time online, you'll begin to experience the way the internet is conducive to stealing your time and attention. 1 minute you're researching content. The next thing you know, you have lost an hour of your time on some unrelated blog. Your time is your most precious resource. Make sure you are working in your work time and relaxing in your recreation time. Don't let the two merge together to make neither of them profitable. This rule always trumps the have a willingness to learn a rule. Learn as much as you need to and then focus on the application. Beside your be consistent tattoo from above, also put focus. Follow the 80-20 rule. Ask yourself, am I willing to focus on the things that will give me the greatest benefit, even if it means that some things are not perfect? This is a rule I'm constantly striving to follow. You may know the old 80-20 rule. In this case, it means that typically 80% of your profits will be generated by 20% of your work. Your job is to constantly monitor what you are doing and determine if it is the activities that are going to generate the bulk of your profits. This guide goes part of the way in helping you achieve this. I've deliberately left out lots of things that might be good to do, but when you are time poor, you need to focus on the things that give you the best bang for buck. Focus on content, not technology. Ask yourself, am I willing to focus on the content, not the technology? This is one of the most important practical things that you need to drive into your thinking every day. I see so many people messing around with their sites, changing their color schemes or trying to make their site look so perfect that they don't end up going anywhere. Remember, it's the content that drives the income, not the technology. Think about this. 2 people have 100 hours each. The first spent 80 hours making his site look just right and 20 hours on his content. The other spent 20 hours on his site too. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 12 of 69. Get it close to right and then 80 hours on his content. At the end of the day, who do you think made more money? Give me an average-looking site with 100 pages of good content over a good-looking site with 20 any day. I'm sure the search engines will agree. Change your mindset. Take this part of my blueprint for success seriously. The more you can master this stuff, the more likely you will be to not only hit the $1,000 mark, but go well and truly beyond it. Look out in the next chapter as I uncover the idea, the practical and step-by-step starting point to help you map out your new online business. The next chapter is fun and less serious, so look out. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 13 of 69. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 14 of 69. Choosing a niche for your online business. By now, your mind should be primed and ready for success after you've read the mindset. In this installment I explain the business model that I recommend you use, as well as the specific strategies and instructions on how to successfully choose a niche you can profit within. By now, your mind should be primed and ready for success after you've read the mindset. It's time to take action and get started on building your new online business. First, a little warning. This chapter, the idea, is going to be fairly long and relatively detailed, so it's time to turn off all distractions and set aside some time to go over this completely. I would recommend that you read it through from start to finish, then find some time to take the action outlined. Some of you might be tempted to skim it and think you know it all already. This is a mistake. Something I've learned over the years is that the devil is in the details. This outline is a carefully crafted blueprint to create exponential effects. If you miss a step, you're destined to have dramatically less success. So read through this part carefully. The chapter covers two aspects. First, it introduces you to the business model in recommending for people who want to make their first $1,000 a month online. It may be similar to what you read elsewhere, but it's more deliberate and calculated. So follow along carefully. Chapter 3. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 15 of 69. Second, this chapter will guide you on the selection of the right niche to apply this business model to. If you follow the steps outlined for this, it might take you a few hours. It's fun stuff though. I'm going to cover the business model part on a fairly high level without getting into lots of details. It's more to put your niche selection in context. We'll be digging deep with the niche selection part. Let's jump right into it. The business model. The business model I'm outlining is designed to take into account most people's lack of resources. Specifically, I'm talking about time, money, and extensive expertise. It's not really glamorous, but it works. There are 3 levels to this business model. This model works within the context of the particular niche area. You'll be using an example throughout for the niche of golf pudding. We'll be looking at ways to discover your own niche later in this chapter. If you're a visual person, this flowchart should help you as I explain it below. The whole business model can be explained simply like this. It's worth reading slowly. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 16 of 69. We aim to attract website visitors who need help with a subject that involves a financial transaction, for example buying a product or paying for information to solve a problem. We provide solutions for these people in the form of useful information that pre-sells them into the right products for their needs. The products can either be other people's products, via affiliate links, and/or your own products. Many of you may think you're doing that already, but you probably aren't. Remember how I discussed the 80-20 rule in the mindset chapter? It applies here as well. Niche selection is critical. We want to focus on subjects that involve a financial transaction. We don't want to focus on topics that lots of people search for information on, but rarely will engage in a transaction. You'll expand on this later in the chapter. Let's take a look at how each of the 3 levels in the business model work. Content level. The content level is the foundation for this business model. We'll be setting up a website that has lots of good quality content that serves 2 purposes. The first purpose is to generate targeted traffic via search engines. The second purpose is to position you as an expert and to get people to trust you. If they trust you, they'll trust your recommendations for other products and will be happier to buy the products you've created. Both these purposes will be covered in more detail in following chapters, including exact instructions on the best ways to leverage these principles. Traffic level. Traffic is the lifeblood of your site. It's important to remember that the word traffic is a poor way to describe what's really going on. You need to remember that you're referring to real people interacting with you. Always keep that in mind. It will help you connect more with your audience. It's everyone's quest, no matter how big you get, to attract lots of targeted traffic. As I mentioned above, create search engine friendly content is a great way of doing this. Easily the best free method. There are many other ways to attract free traffic other than via SEO, search engine optimization. You'll cover what to ignore and what to focus on in a following chapter dedicated entirely to traffic. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 17 of 69. Monetization level. Once you've got targeted visitors to your site, you need a way to turn that into dollars. It's often the trickiest part for people. This business model has a three-prong monetization strategy. The three prongs include contextual advertising. This simply means using Google AdSense to generate some pay-per-click income. This is likely to be your smallest monetization source. If your other two prongs are working well, you may be wise to ignore this prong altogether. Affiliate sales. This is simply writing about good products in a fresh and enthusiastic way that pre-sells people towards purchasing. For example, you might review a particular putter model and provide honest and helpful advice. You'll then want to find the cheapest online store for that particular model that has an affiliate program, and direct people there for the best price. They'll trust you because you've given an objective review of the product, so they'll be more likely to buy from you. If your review is high quality, you'll also find other sites linking to you as well. Of course, they'll expand on this in the monetization chapter and give you the nitty-gritty on making this work. You'll also explain how you can do objective reviews without having to buy the product in the first place. You'll also be drumming into you information about what content to focus on following the 80-20 rule in that chapter as well. Your own product. Now don't freak out. Creating your own product is much easier than it sounds, and it possibly could be the income stream that blitzes a $1,000 goal. The way I recommend that you create this again fits into the 80-20 rule. What it'll be getting you to do is to find experts on your chosen niche. Write a really powerful set of questions that grills them on the subject they are an expert about. Then interview them using those questions. You'll record the interview and then outsource the transcribing of these interviews. Write an intro paragraph and then again outsource the formatting and editing of the Word document. Hey presto, you have just developed your first of hopefully many info products. You'll go into these processes in detail in a following chapter. For example, it'll tell you how to get the interviews, what questions to ask, how to make your product high value, and where to outsource the time-consuming work for very low cost. It'll also how to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 18 of 69. Explain how you can easily handle the payment and delivery logistics as well. Yes, it's going to be a pretty big chapter. Now you understand the business model. You'll have a more educated approach on selecting your niche. Let's get into that. Niche selection. This is an absolutely critical part to your success and should be given plenty of attention. Not so much that you get paralyzed, but enough so that you don't paint yourself into a corner by picking a loser. If you follow my selection process here, with a little luck you'll pick a winner. Brainstorming. The first thing we'll want to do is brainstorm as many potential ideas for niches that would fit into the business model described. Don't worry about anything at this stage except for generating ideas. Even if you have no knowledge at all about the subject, write it down. Give yourself a week on this. I find that a week is long enough to get your subconscious involved, but short enough not to get bored or worse, paralyzed. I don't mean a week of solid work. I just mean work at it here and there over the course of a week. Here are some brainstorming strategies I use. I focus first on ideas that come to the top of my head. You can do the same by asking yourself the following questions. What do I enjoy doing in my spare time? What conversations do I have with other people that interest me? What industries have I worked in before? What did I learn in each of those? What is something I'm interested in knowing more about? What do I know more about than most people around the world? Which experts do I have access to in my circle, family, friends, etc.? What problems have I solved for people before? What problems would I like to solve for people in the future? How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 19 of 69. You probably have a decent number of ideas for subjects by now. Nonetheless, we need to keep digging. Now remember that some subjects may be too big or too small for our final niche selection. Don't worry about that now. It will probably help if you group your smaller niches into sub-niches to help clarify things. You can keep expanding your list by getting active. Here are a few things I like to do once I've exhausted what I can think of off the top of my head. Go to your bookshelf and write down all the subjects you own books on. Go to your local library or bookstore with a pen and paper and write down book subjects that interest you that might fit into this business model. If someone has published a book on it, there's a good chance that people are interested in the subject. Read the newspaper. Go to a newsstand and flick through magazines. Go to www.boardreader.com and browse the popular topics. Go to Yahoo Answers and browse the categories that interest you. Go to Google Answers and browse the categories that interest you. It doesn't matter if it's retired. Be constantly aware of people's common questions and frustrations in conversations. Another idea for brainstorming is to leverage Amazon.com. It's full of niches that may help you find yours. Simply sort categories by best-selling and look for patterns. This is a great way to discover where the money is in any particular niche. Like Amazon, ClickBank.com is another good place to explore. Every product there has been is under ClickBank gravity. If you come across a number of products within a niche that have a gravity of 5 or higher, chances are that you're looking at a lucrative niche. By combining all of these ideas, you should have a pretty big list by now. It's time to sift out the gold. Drilling down. In this step of the process, we'll want to drill down to pull out the subjects that will lend themselves to having the best level of success. At this stage, we want to cut our list down to just 5 or fewer subjects. We want to make sure that the subject we choose fits the business model we're going to follow. This is an important step in the process, and you need to be as impartial as possible. You might have your subjects that will be easier for you. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 20 of 69. But if they don't meet these criteria, you need to be willing to either cut them or adjust them. Here are the criteria that your niche must meet. If you're already working on a niche website, see how your chosen niche stacks up. 1. Not too small. How do you assess that? As a rule, what I do is use the Google keyword research tool here. AdWords.google.com web link. Type in your major terms and press submit. To be big enough, the results should show a search volume of around 500 or more. 2. Have commercial interest. So it must have people spending money within that niche. More specifically, people must be spending $50 or more on average. Small transactions are not normally conducted online, and people normally don't have much motivation to research or look for the best deals. Stick to subjects that have decent transactional value. Sure, knitting might be an okay niche, but the transaction costs are too low, and you'll never make much money from it. Microsoft have a largely unknown tool that detects commercial intention of particular keywords or phrases. Now, this isn't to be treated as gospel, but it's certainly a really useful guide. Don't despair if a few of your major keywords come up non-commercial. However, take that as a warning and dig deeper. See lab.msn.com web link. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 21 of 69. The term the golf pudding came up with a commercial intention, a score of 0.755, which is pretty good. As always, common sense should prevail over such tools. 3. Has plenty of available, largely evergreen content. You want to make sure your chosen niche has lots you can write about. Then you want to make sure that what you can write about doesn't quickly go out of date. For example, you don't want to create a website around something that rapidly changes. While new patterns will come out, it's not as dynamic as developing a site around, say, iPods, for example. Whatever content you can write should make money for you for years. 4. Isn't risky. I personally wouldn't recommend developing a site that could have legal implications for you. Think carefully about the implications of covering a subject where you're giving advice that could have serious negative effects on someone's life if you are not an expert and insured on that subject. The health and finance industries come to mind. 5. Has a learning curve. If the subject you're looking at has a learning curve, then people will be researching online and they'll have problems you can solve or educate them on. 6. Has affiliate programs. This is important because if this subject has no affiliate programs on the topic, we can't monetize one of our prongs. Plus, it's an indication that the market is not commercial enough. You can search our directory at associateprograms.com for affiliate programs in your niche. 7. No biz op. It may be obvious for some, but under no circumstances should you create a site around the subject of home businesses or how to make money online. For some reason, this is the first thing people jump into. It's the most crowded, cutthroat, unforgiving market you can choose. Remove it from your list immediately. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 22 of 69. As you've run all your niches through this filter, hopefully you'll still have a couple left. Now we make our final decision on which one we're going to pursue. Think of it like the grand final of Niche Idol. Detailed analysis. It's now time to do some final, more more detailed analysis on our top 5, or fewer. We're going to look at 3 factors in particular. These are competition, monetization potential, and difficulty. This can take a little time to complete, but it's worth the analysis. Competition. First, let's look at the competition levels. For each of your top 5 finalists, do the following. Go to the Google keyword tool, adwords.google.com web link. Type in your major keyword again, but ensure you have the use synonyms checkbox checked. Sort by local or global monthly search volume, so click on the blue link that says local search volume or global monthly search volume. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 23 of 69. Grab the top 10 keywords by clicking the add link to the right of each keyword. Then download a CSV or text version of this. Go to this little tool I created here, www.associateprograms.com web link. Type in each of those 10 words using the default settings. This will launch a window showing a Google search result. What this does is show how many pages are highly optimized for those terms. In other words, the number of people you'll need to topple to get in front of people searching on those keywords. Look at the section that says, Results 1 to 10 of About X. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 24 of 69. Record the text value. If the screen looks blank, then there are no results, which is a great sign. So do that for the top 10 keywords of each of your final niche top 5. Then add up the total of number of search results shown for each niche. The lower the number, the less the competition. Obviously less is better. Monetization potential. To analyze the top niches further, we want to look at the monetization potential. In particular, we want to look at 2 factors. The first factor is the raw demand. In this case, it's search volume. To get this, return to the Google keyword tool, adwords.google.com web link. Type in your major keyword again and ensure you have the use synonyms checkbox checked. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 25 of 69. Sort by local or global search volume, so click on the blue link that says local or global search volume. Grab the top 10 keywords by clicking the add link to the right of each keyword. Then download a CSV or text version of this. Now tally up the search volume of each of these 10 keywords. This will give you a score for raw demand for each niche. Now we're going to look at the commercial value of the niche. We do that by looking at each of the keywords and how much people are paying per click to advertise on Google AdWords against this keyword. We can see this by using the drop-down box labeled, Choose Columns to Display. Show the estimated average CPC. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 26 of 69. It should now show the average cost per click that people are paying to rank number 1-3 on that keyword in the AdWords advertising system. This gives us an idea of the commercial value of those keywords. The higher those costs are, the more valuable they were to people and potentially, the more money you can make. Now, we don't have to pay the money, but someone is, which demonstrates how valuable the market is. If you want to give yourself a fright, try it out for the keyword insurance. Smile. So again, total the CPC for each keyword to give a total for each niche. You can now compare each niche against one another for commercial value. Difficulty. This part is simple. I want you to do a personal assessment of how difficult you think it will be to tackle that niche. For example, you might be intimately familiar with one of the niches in contrast to another one that you have no idea about. Obviously, the one you're familiar with is going to be less difficult to tackle. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 27 of 69. Also take into account how difficult you think it will be to create a product, how available are experts on that subject, and develop content for that subject too. These are all important factors. Now you need to give each of your finalist niches a score for difficulty factor. A high score means an easier niche. A low score means it's more difficult. Final selection. Hopefully by now you'll have scores against each of your niche finalists in competition, demand, commercial value and difficulty. Now I'm not going to say you can simply add up the results and you'll have a winner. Some factors are more important than others here. For example, a niche might be a winner on the analysis, but simply impossible to cover. I challenge you to get out of your comfort zone, but if you're simply scared out of your mind, then there's no point pursuing the topic because you're probably not going to work hard on it. You need to take a good look at the scores and decide for yourself what looks the most attractive. It's your decision. Embrace what the data is telling you, but also use your gut feel. Give it a few days to work through your subconscious and go with the one that your mind gravitates to. It's probably telling you the right answer. Once you have decided, don't look back. Congratulations, you have the topic for your new online business. It's time to begin work. In the next chapter, we're going to look at the plan. This section will outline the specific tools and procedures you'll need to move forward on your new product. It's exciting stuff as well. Be putting together the infrastructure to make the $1,000 a month a reality, but be prepared to spend a little money to set this up. Oh, and make sure you've done your homework as outlined above so you're ready to go. Smile. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 28 of 69. How to plan your online business. Before you start your online business, you'd be wise to take the advice of a friend of mine who's managed massive multi-million-dollar projects. Measure twice, cut once. One of my friends is a consulting project manager here in Australia. I hadn't seen him for a while, so asked him what he'd been up to. He told me how he was contracted as the head project manager for a large drain building project. When I asked him how it was going, he responded, "Well, it's a little stressful." "Why is that?" I asked. "Well, for every day the project runs late, it costs the company over $100,000. It's a 12-month, multi-million-dollar project and I'm the one responsible for making it come in on time," he casually responded. I was shocked. I was intrigued to find out how he managed to control a massive project like this to make it come in on time. It seemed overwhelming to me, but didn't seem to faze him much. I was especially interested in understanding how he managed to run a project like this without feeling out of control and risking running weeks or months overtime costing the company millions of dollars. So I asked him. Chapter 4. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 29 of 69. He went on to explain 2 nuggets of truth that I've held close to me ever since. The first insight he shared with me was this. Every huge project will always contain sub-projects. All sub-projects will always contain tasks. So to tackle any huge project, just keep breaking it down until you have actionable tasks. Figure out how long each task takes, organize them, then do them. In other words, for any project you face, no matter how big it is, just break it down into bite-sized manageable tasks. Then do them. This is powerful stuff that can cure any overwhelming feelings you have for anything you face. Keep that in mind as we move forward in this series. If you've never done anything like this before, it can be a daunting position to be in. We'll be breaking everything down piece by piece, so you can relax. The other goal he shared was a simple proverb that he lives by, and I now try to as well. It is measure twice, cut once. Chapter 4 is all about the measuring twice. We're going to be planning the sub-projects we need to work on to get our goal of $1,000 a month off the ground. This can be a tricky stage for some people. Some folks simply jump in boots at all and get overwhelmed and confused. Others get stuck here. They keep looking and researching but never actually do anything to move forward. Series of action steps. I've purposefully put together a set of action steps to take to propel you forward in this project. Hopefully, it will help you not get overwhelmed or stuck in the research rut. It's worth noting that before writing this, I spent 2 days exploring all the options. I had researched them a few years ago, but wanted to make sure that there wasn't anything new that I was missing out on. So you can trust that this is up-to-date advice. True to my friend's insight, I've broken this down into 5 sub-projects. They are: 1. Finalize your site idea. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 30 of 69. 2. Choose a business name and domain name. 3. Plan your basic site content. 4. Plan your digital product. 5. Set up your website. I strongly suggest that you do each of these steps in that order. So don't do step 3 without doing step 1 and 2 first. There are 2 reasons for this. First, it's going to be easier to do these steps with a clear mind without technology getting in the way. When you throw a technology learning curve into the middle of this, it can easily become a muddle and more complex than it needs to be. The second reason is that you should be ready to go when you sign up for your publishing platform. This saves you money because once you sign up, you have got a path to follow immediately. It also helps make the learning curve easier. When you read through the publishing platform instructions, you've got a working set of ideas in your head rather than simply hypotheticals. In other words, you have got a clear direction to follow once the rubber meets the road. Let's look at each of these sub-projects individually. Finalize your site idea. By now you should have already gone through the detailed instructions I outlined for choosing your niche. If you haven't done that, you must complete this. You should be able to feel confident in your decision if you use the methodology I outlined. Once you have decided, don't look back. Choose a domain name. Choosing a domain name is a really fun part of this planning process. No matter how many names get registered online, I'm still constantly surprised at how many good ones are still left. There are a few guidelines I try to use when selecting a domain name. I think it's important to try to strike a balance between professional, memorable, and easy to share via word of mouth. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 31 of 69. Keeping this in mind, there are a few rules I would recommend trying to keep when selecting your domain name. Remember that your domain name is usually the name of your site as well. Domain name should not contain hyphens. Domain names containing hyphens are difficult to share via word of mouth and don't look as professional. They used to be popular for SEO reasons, but are no longer necessary. Numbers. This rule can be broken for some domains, but as a general rule it's best not to have numbers in your domain name. They make the domain name difficult to share via word of mouth. People ask, is it numeric or alphabetic? Anything other than .com. The .com domain names are seen as the most professional and are often the default in people's minds. Unless you have a very good reason to have another domain name, like country-specific information, or a bona fide organization, I would try to keep to a .com. More than 25 characters before the .com. Anything longer than 25 characters becomes problematic for a number of reasons. One in particular is if you ever want to advertise via PPC search engines. Clever misspellings. Again, they create problems if anyone wants to spread the word about your site to others. They can also detract from your ranking power in the search engines. They may look clever, but will negatively impact your traffic. If someone can't be told the domain name and write it phonetically, then you have a problem. Domain name should contain your main keyword phrase. Having your main keyword phrase in your domain name will help with your search rankings. For me, it's ideal if someone can read your domain name and at a glance get what your site is all about. Positional statement. In the same way, a positional adjective can help people understand what they are getting before they visit your site. For example, words like help, advice, tips, etc. In line with this, imagine your site is ranking well in the search engines. How appealing is it going to be to the web surfer when he sees your listing in the results? How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 32 of 69. If one site is called whiteballguy.com and another is called golfpuddingguru.com, which one do you think will be more attractive to the web surfer who's looking for golf pudding tips? There is a free and useful site to expand your mind on possible domain alternatives. www.nametumblr.com. In a matter of minutes I found several great, available, at the time of writing, domain names. golfingpuddingtips.com, golfpuddingsite.com, golfpudding.com, golfpuddingnow.com, bestgolfpudding.com, golfpuddingblog.com, golfpuddingtoday.com. Also consider using Google's keyword research tool to find out specific keywords that people are using to find the sorts of information you are providing. Just remember to keep the domain name general enough so you can be flexible with the content you are providing. For example, golfpuddingguru.com is better than golfpuddingadvice.com because someday you may wish to sell physical golf putters from the site itself. At that point, the domain name would be less relevant to the theme of the site if you called it golfpuddingadvice.com. Plan your site content. It's worthwhile at this point planning the framework of your site. If you plan your site structure now, you'll be less likely to fall into the trap of creating a site around the articles you've already written, rather than writing articles that fit within the ideal site structure. This is a pretty simple process. Just write down all the topics you wish to cover in your site and then move them around so they make the most sense. Sometimes, it might be a case of having some subcategories within larger, more general topics. For example, you might have sections on pudding tips, putter reviews, pudding practice machine, etc. If you're a visual person, it's sometimes useful to draw a flowchart. You could even use a free flowcharting service like the one at Gliffy.com. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 33 of 69. Plan your digital product. While you're in planning mode, you should consider starting to plan your digital product. It's useful to start this planning now because it will also help shape the content for the articles on the site. You can save yourself a lot of work by reusing some of the material that will be going into your digital product within your articles. Then the articles become a useful teaser for people to buy the full product itself. You give them a bit, but if they want it all, then they need to buy your product. This will be all explained in a later chapter, so don't stress about it now. For now, do some research on the kinds of questions that people are commonly asking on your particular subject. Begin to collate these and frame them into interview questions. Again, revisit boardreader.com, Google Answers and Yahoo Answers to see the kinds of questions that people are asking. Also, it doesn't hurt to try to think back to the sorts of questions you have had in the past about your chosen subject matter. At the end of this exercise, you should have lots of common questions that will provide the basis for both your digital product and your site content. Set up your site. Once you have completed the first 4 steps, it's time for the more difficult task of setting up your website. As I said last week, up until now everything I've given you has been using free tools. Eventually, you have to get serious and put your money where your mouth is. As I mentioned earlier, I researched again to see who the market leaders were. I even signed up to several different paid services to check them out for you as well. The main criteria I was looking for was a unified solution that provided all the tools you needed in one place, one that would allow you to get your site up and running easily without technical distractions. A solution that does a lot of hand-holding, taking people through the step-by-step method processes that represent the best practice, but also one that has a strong supportive community of peers who know what you're going through and can assist and motivate you towards success. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 34 of 69. My 2 days of research ended up taking me back to my starting point in recommending Niche Profit Classroom, NPC, for your publishing platform. It really wasn't a hard decision to make, but I did want to give the competitors a fair go before I made it. To be honest though, for some time I've been really impressed with the Niche Marketing 2.0 formula created by NPC. The problem is, when you've been doing something for a long time, it's hard to put yourself into the position of someone who doesn't have your knowledge and experience. So as a test, I hired a new staff member who doesn't have much web experience at all, but can write okay. I then asked them to watch this free webinar that explains the whole methodology that NPC teaches. I then gave them my account login and asked them to follow the NPC training. I really wanted them to replicate what most people have to deal with when they are trying to make their first $1,000 a month. A week later I hadn't heard too much, so I asked them how they were progressing. To my surprise, he quickly identified the right niches and went to work on building the 3 new sites. What really excited me was that I didn't have to tell him what to do or send him around to a bunch of different sites so he could discover the right tools or the right way of doing things. With no HTML or coding experience, he simply followed their system, used their tools, and NPC did the hand-holding. Within weeks the sites we're living are already making money. I'm documenting their progress in more detail, and I'll be making updates on associateprograms.com as we gain more traction. This is the service I've personally recommended to my closest friends as being the best training to get them to that $1,000 a month level. In saying that, it's one thing for me to recommend you to sign up for it, especially as we're using an affiliate link, but it's important that you feel confident in the system yourself. After all, this is the biggest investment you'll make for the $1,000 a month project. I suggest that you look through the site and make up your own mind. If you've made the decision, you're going to have more faith and confidence in the system and will be more willing to work with it instead of wasting time looking around for greener grass. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 35 of 69. Once you're satisfied, sign up and spend some time going over the training materials. It's worthwhile just spending some time getting familiar with the system. You don't have to actually build any of the site yet. Just get familiar with the system. In the next chapter we'll be covering the action where we'll be moving forward, setting up the foundations for your site and your new digital product. It's time for some major forward progress. Special update. Here's a backdoor link to the NPC program for just $1. It's a good way to try out the product properly to make sure that you're confident that this will help you reach your goals. Access the backdoor link here. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 36 of 69. How to start your online business. Actually starting and making some significant progress on your online business is often the hardest part of the process. Most people are happy pushing around ideas instead of taking action. This guide will take you step by step through these initial stages. I read a classic quote from Leigh Brown the other day. He said, "You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great." I really love that quote. I see so many people fluffing around, pushing around ideas and looking for an easy road to riches online, and it gets frustrating when you know the truth. I can assure you right now, it's really tough to get rich online. However, it's not very difficult to replace part or all of your day job income with some persistent and calculated work. As they say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. From my experience, it seems that first step is the hardest for people to take. Most people are so busy constantly changing direction looking for the easier road that they end up not going anywhere. When they reflect on their failure, most will blame the tools, the advice, or the processes they selected. But in the end, most of the time they should blame only themselves. Chapter 5. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 37 of 69. I don't say that in a judgmental way, because I've been one of the worst offenders in the past, jumping from one thing to another without making any real headway in anything. I say it to encourage you to avoid the same mistakes. If you're going to constantly jump from one idea to the next looking for those easy dollars, I would suggest that you shut down your computer now, and go and spend some time with your friends and family. It will be time better spent because the chances of succeeding by doing that are slim. In whatever you choose to do, have a determination to make it succeed, and give it enough time to run its course. You need to be satisfied that this will probably be a slow and steady process that given time will get you to where you want to be. It just needs time to grow. Are you ready to put your blinkers on and take action? Are you going to take control of your situation? Or are you just going to be like most people and keep looking for that elusive easy money? If it's the latter, it's time to rethink what you're doing. Let's have a look where we are up to in this journey of earning $1,000 a month from scratch. By now you should have 1. Finalized your niche topic. 2. Selected a site name and domain. 3. Planned your site structure. 4. Planned your digital product. 5. Set up your publishing platform. Have you done all those? If so, let's begin. Create your site framework. Whatever site building approach you use, at this stage you should be setting up your site structure based on what you planned last week. So you need to look at this as the framework for the whole site. Once this stage is complete, I want you to promise me that you won't go back and make changes unless absolutely necessary. There is a good reason for this which I will explain shortly. The content structure should have been planned carefully last week. I asked you to plan it now so that you put together what the site structure should ideally be, not what the site structure evolves into because you decided to write a whole bunch of articles on an easy subject. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 38 of 69. In your site structure, it's important to ensure that you keep it within themes. Without going into a technical explanation, understand that this is important to attract good search rankings. Once you've got your site structure set up, including your site navigation, you should then work on your design. This is where people can blow a whole lot of time getting their design just right. I would set a limit on the amount of time you are going to devote to this, no more than 3 to 5 hours. An idea that I often employ to chop heaps of time out of designing a pro-looking site is using a pre-built website template. If you're using WordPress, which is my personal favorite amongst the content management systems out there, take a look at this theme. It's optimized for plenty of search engine traffic and offers easy customization without coding, which is great when you don't have massive time to burn. Once you are generally happy with how it looks, promise yourself that you won't make any changes for 6 months. If you are having issues getting the site to look how you want it to, don't waste too much time trying to figure it out. Just ask a community member for help, for NPC users, or search the web for help on your particular site building platform. As far as design goes, I say don't reinvent the wheel. Mimic other sites you like using that have a site structure similar to yours. Forget about aspirations for your site being heralded on ThebusDesigns.com. Treat this thing like a utility vehicle, not a showpiece. Focus on it being clean, simple, and very usable. They are the sites that tend to make the money. You may find it difficult to avoid spending endless hours getting your site perfect. I encourage you to stay focused on producing good content and a good product. That's the priority for now. Write your About Us and contact page. Now you've got your site looking okay and the site structure in place, it's time to fill out the basic site requirements. You'll want to fill these framework pages with good, keyword-rich content. I recommend quickly completing an About page and a contact page. These should be fairly easy to write. Doing so gives you some practice for filling out the rest of the content. They are also fairly important because they give you credibility and make people trust you. Lots of people neglect these pages, making their sites look spammy. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 39 of 69. On these 2 pages you can be yourself and make them as personalized as you wish. Having a nice photo of yourself there is useful for credibility. You'll just need to figure out how much information you want to make publicly visible. Remember, your boss may be reading it. Write your home page content. The first tricky page that you'll want to tackle is your home page. It can be a difficult page to write because it's so general. It's also very important because it's the first page that people read, and you want to compel them to keep reading. I normally would recommend this page to be a teaser page. Here's how I would structure it. Introduction. This welcomes people to the site and should aim to personally engage with them. Don't try to make it like some corporate big business. Look at this as a dialogue between yourself and the visitor, in the same way that you would welcome someone to a bricks and mortar store. It should be written as though you are looking them in the eye. By the way, don't put a boring introduction heading on it. Summary of each section of the site. Once you have done your introduction, write a teaser for each section of the site. This should create interest and intrigue and get people clicking deeper into the site. This is where you want them to go because this is where the money is, so to speak. So for example, you may have a section on the site that talks about how to care for your putters correctly. You may write something along the following lines, remembering to be engaging and memorable. Putter care. It's amazing how good you can become at making a putter look like new when you've had to retrieve it from the water hazard. It forcefully slipped from my hands as I missed the winning 2-foot putt in the final Captain's Trophy competition. In my putter care section, I give you the top 5 ways of cleaning your putter to look like new after every game. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 40 of 69. You'll want to do something similar that will lead interested parties into the rest of your content. This will also help your site become thematically consistent, which helps your search rankings. You'll want to link up the matching keywords into the appropriate site section. For example, putter care and cleaning your putter. It's a good idea to try to use as many relevant keywords in as natural a way as possible. I don't believe in stuffing keywords, but careful selection of words can help draw more traffic to your site. Your home page title should include 8 of the main words that define your site. Use the keyword research tools to ascertain which keywords are most suitable. You'll want to target the ones that match your niche. If you followed my advice earlier, your high-volume matching keywords should be realistic enough to rank for. For example, you're not trying to rank well for the word golf, but golf putter. Use the free competition tool I made you to double-check. Picture how those words will appear in the search engine results. They need to tempt people to visit your page. Try a few searches in Google. Some titles instantly attract you and some don't. Write your site section content. So now you've got your home, about and contact pages written. It's time to write the content for each of your site sections. These content sections should follow the site sections you developed earlier. For example, for the putter site you'll probably have a site structure something like this. Putter reviews, putter selection, best putters, putter covers, putter advice, travel putters, left-handed putters, putter brands, putter grips, putter care, putter FAQs. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 4169. You will then want to develop an overall summary of each section. You should attack this in a similar way to your home page, but reference some of the article pages you'll be writing, instead of the category pages as you did with the home page. At this point, you'll want to do some careful keyword research for each section. So for example, for the keyword putter reviews, you'll want to first use your keyword research tool of choice to find out the different ways that people describe the subtheme. If you're new to keyword research, take a look at my introductory guide at keyword workshop here. Once you've got these different ways to describe the subtheme, create a list of keywords that people use to find information about it. For example, Betty putter review, golf putter review, golf putter reviews, golf putters reviews, heavy putter review, heavy putter reviews, Mizuno putter review, never compromise putter review, ping putter review, ping putter reviews, putter grip review, putter review, putter reviews, putter reviews 2007, putters reviews, etc. This serves two purposes. First, it helps you develop the relevant, keyword-rich content for your category page. Second, it gives you ideas for articles that will be thematically similar subpages within this section. Do this for each section of your site. Write 5-10 useful articles. It's time to spend some time writing some good quality content. I suggest that you start by focusing on writing 5-10 articles that are not promoting anything, but just provide good solid content. These articles serve two purposes. The first purpose is to create some good content that will position your site as a quality site, not some half-baked spammy promotional site that a directory will never list. The second purpose is for you to have some practice honing your writing skills without throwing into the mix the complexities of selling and pre-selling. This is an art form in itself, and you should focus on the foundation of writing compelling copy first, and then build on that to sell. How to make $1,000 a month online from scratch. Page 42 of 69. These first 10 articles may take you a little while to write. When you are happy with each one, post it on your site. The worst thing you can do when writing these articles is to be boring. It's important that when people are reading your articles, they hear your voice in their head. You can choose what voice you want to portray. Whatever style you choose, make it appropriate for your niche and make it enthusiastic and friendly. It's going to help when you recommend products later. Some sites get away with having an edgier style, for example rich jerk style, but you need to be a very good copywriter to make this work. A simpler approach is probably the path or least resistance for most folks. While writing these 10 articles, really focus on being engaging. Use clever, keyword-rich titles like Top 5 Ways Why You Should Never. My favorite. It's going to serve you well to become a student of good copywriting. A good place to learn is Copyblogger. As an example of my title advice, have a look at the titles of Copyblogger's most popular posts. How to create ebooks that sell. 10 timeless persuasive writing techniques. Do you recognize these 10 mental blocks to creative thinking? How to get 6,312 subscribers to your business blog in one day. 10 steps to becoming a better writer. Becoming a good copywriter is an art form that takes a lifetime to master. There isn't a perfect copywriter. It's just all degrees of imperfection. Use your 10 articles to hone your skills of engagement through words. Don't try to sell anything yet. Just focus on F.